Off you go, Lethal.
Yeah, can you, JJ, can you give us an update on Tom Lynch? How did he train this morning?
We're about to train, so he was at my place this morning, as he is most mornings, but he's back to his bubbly self, so he will need to, he will certainly need to jump some hurdles at training today. But judging from his personality, he looks ready to go and at least wants to give himself every chance. So, and a player as important as him, I reckon the coaching staff will be looking to give him every opportunity to play. And from what I can see off field, he looks almost ready. If you put a percentage on it, you're saying it's 50-50 or 60-40 at this stage? It's very hard to. I'd say more likely than not, but it's very hard to gauge it without seeing him tackled and trying to tackle and do all those sorts of things. So I believe he's only done some more individual stuff thus far on the track and that, and he's a very fit guy, so shouldn't have knocked him around too much, but got to take into account where we're playing, short turnaround next week, all those sorts of things. So leave that up to the greater powers.
Is he still having headaches, or is he sort of overcome?
I don't think so. I don't think that the guys would be willing to allow him to train fully because an AFL training session is fairly intense. So I doubt they'd allow him to be out there if he was still suffering some side effects. But it's probably going to be. It's not a common thing that he's gone through. So they're probably going to have to just continue to touch base with him and see how he feels.
Has he got the weight back on? Because he dropped about what?
Not sure. Not too sure. I know he certainly looked a little bit lighter probably a week or so ago, but he's pretty good on the tooth, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. I know he went to the movies last night, so he would have knocked over a fair bit of popcorn. But yeah, it's just another small concern that he and the physical performance group need to weigh up.
Will the Heat tell against him playing Darwin longer flight?
Probably won't help. Probably won't help, but he's a very stubborn guy in a great way. He's a very professional player. It's took him a while to find his feet, and he's certainly not going to give up a spot or give up a game easily. So it's certainly going to be another thing like the weight that the guys are going to have to weigh up. But if anyone can get through that, then he can.
Mate, the last time you played Melbourne, obviously a bad loss, and Bernie Vince mauled Rory Sloane. He did it previous to Danger as well a couple of years ago. Do you have to help him more this week against Vince? How do you combat that?
Presuming that's how they go, and they may well do so. Something's worked. You'd be silly to change it, but yeah, certainly that we need to take and look at more opportunities to help Rory. I guess he's probably a bit better equipped this time around. He's seen a lot more of it. He saw a close tag for probably 6 weeks, none closer than Bernie. So you'd like to think he's more equipped, and we're more equipped to help him as well. So, but you've heard it from us time and time again. We won't sacrifice the greater good of the team just to allow Rory to get more involved in the game. But we understand that if he's playing well, we're usually playing well.
Is it a physical approach though? Because you personally have shown more physicality the past few weeks. Have you done that on purpose? And secondly, is it a physical approach to helping Rory?
It's probably a physical approach, but there's also I've seen over the years players with Gary Ablett, willing and looking for opportunities to get them in the game, give them handballs, get the ball in their hands. But Sliney's a one-on-one player. He loves a contest. He embraces it, and I know there's been times where he's probably been quelled to an extent, but put him in 100 fights, and I think he's going to win more than his fair share.
Playing in Darwin, the club hasn't been there for a while. Have you had to prepare any differently for the Heat?
Not as yet. We're certainly well aware of what to expect, but we probably won't hit us until we get up there, do our usual training run up there, and get a feel for it. We play, I guess, Saturday night. Helps. Not in the beaming sun during the day, but certainly something to be aware of and potentially drink a little bit more water. But apart from that, just deal with it and play our best footy and then recover as best we can afterwards.
So the club hasn't been doing any humidity training or anything?
No, certainly not. No, we haven't gone down that path. So it's just another hurdle for us to get over. Melbourne have got to go up there, and I know they play there a few times. It's not like they play up there every second week, so I wouldn't have thought there'd be an advantage for either side.
Given the conditions, obviously you do it'd be 24, 25 degrees when the game starts, 60% humidity.
Yep.
Given the short 6-day turnaround, big game against Geelong on a Friday night, do you be extra cautious with any players that might be I know Hugh Grant was rested last week.
Yep.
Do you maybe look at doing that, or do you think you might do that again?
Potentially, there's certainly an element of planning for now and planning for the future. You know, with any kind of selection, irrespective of what position you are in the ladder. But I think Melbourne got the better of us last time, so I think we'd be foolish to be worrying about what's next, what's after that, or run into the finals. So we've got an important game to take care of this week. I'd like to think we'll be putting the best 22 out there that we can ensure we get the win, because we've got to keep trying to bank wins and continue to march towards what lies ahead.
Taylor Walker said you owe Melbourne one after the way they mauled you 28 points behind, win by 41 points. Is that the feeling among the group? Do you owe them one a little bit for that
yeah,
result?
in a sense, I would agree with that. They certainly came after us. They came with a plan and executed it really well. And perhaps we should have expected that more than we did. We didn't. I think we stuck around with them for a half, got in front, and perhaps we expected to run away with it. And credit to Melbourne, they're a different side than they have been in the past, and they came with a physical approach and got the job done. So, yeah, we certainly would expect to put forth a more complete performance and certainly win some more of our ball than we did, more of our own ball than we did last time.
That physical approach that you've taken on, and Taylor again also last week, is that intent? Is that something you looked at?
I think it's just a byproduct of being a little bit more active and more involved in the game. Often, perhaps when you've got flat feet or slow to move, you can be grounded, and defenders can hold you out of contests more so than I guess not looking for contact or not looking to get involved in contests. So just that ability to be more involved in the game. I think that's why I was able to have plenty of tackles the week before. I was just able to have more intent and have a focus of being involved in the game in different ways, and how I can impact the game and how we can impact the game when we aren't necessarily marking the ball.
Mate, just back on Lynchy, you said he was more likely than not. Like, in your experience, when you've come off even a cold, it knocks you about. Can you really expect him to handle the rigs of an AFL game, given he hasn't played?
Well, certainly there's an element, as you said, when you have a cold, you can get yourself up to play, and then you feel ordinary afterwards. So they will have to, and when I say they, the fitness staff and probably more so the doctor, will have to make a pretty smart call on that. I wouldn't have thought there would be any risk. It's he was in the hospital in an ICU not so long ago, so it will be to be honest, it will be a touch and go type decision, I would think. Lynchy has assured me he's pushing his case as much as he possibly can. But at the end of the day, I think it will be out of his hands, and it probably would be out of Pikey's hands as well if our doctors and probably the doctors that treated Tom as well say he's ready to go, then I would think they'll play him.
A miraculous comeback.
It would be, but he's a miraculous man.
How do you rate Melbourne? They've had key players out, but they keep winning.
Yeah, they do, and that's a sign of a good team, and that's a challenge. We saw that with Western Bulldogs last year. They had guys out all year, and they just continued to win. And that's a true testament to a up and coming side. They're fifth on the ladder, and I think we've all played 15 or 16 games now, so they're not fifth by accident. They've played some really quality footy. They're aggressive. They attack the footy and the man, and they play a pretty attacking, aggressive brand of football, and it's great to watch them when they're playing well. What
we're going through Jake Lever's mind right now? You had the same scenario last year with your contract, very similar in many ways.
Yeah.
What would he be weighing up at this point?
I would be surprised if I can tell you from experience, I'd be surprised if he's expending too much energy on it, to be quite honest. I think when you hear him say that he's willing to leave it in his manager's hands, I would, from experience, that would be exactly what he's doing. It's more people externally want to talk to him about it, not just the media. His friends and family might want to talk about it more than he does. So I think his performance is suggesting that he's focused on footy.
Are you surprised that he's happy to let it keep going? I think he was pressed on finals on the radio last night. He wasn't even concerned about getting it out of the way for that. Are you surprised, given I guess you did sign earlier in the year?
No, I'm not surprised, because that's a player's right. That's take any player out of contract. He's employed by us until the end of October, and that's his right, and that's what players are continuing to do, and that's just the evolution of the way players and contracts and player movement is heading. That's the reality of it.
You signed about now, though. Why did you sign at this stage of the year?
I think I had a figure in mind that the club got to, and it's simple as that. I was happy enough to get it out of the way at that time. I probably had enough of talking about it in the street as much as anything. I got sick of going to the coffee shop and being asked about it, so I was willing to get it done. And but each individual case is extremely different. So you know, obviously Jake and Mitch to a lesser extent are happy with where things are at.
Do you ever thought of what they might do, the two of them?
No, I don't give it much thought. I certainly hope they both remain here, because we've seen how talented and how important they are to our side, and they're only going to be more talented and more important as the years go on. So I'd like to think they'll both hang around.
Is there a thought the team might have to make the most of this year, knowing there's a possibility that Jake and or Mitch might be?
Nah, that certainly doesn't come into the equation at all. We understand what's in front of us, irrespective of the guys that are out there. Every week we send 22 guys out in a Crows jumper, understanding that we continue to win and we get to finals in a good position, we'll have a great opportunity. So, yeah, there's no thought to that.
Now that you're top of the ladder, I think you're 2 games clear of 5th with 7 games to go. Is top 4 a non-negotiable from this point on?
I guess you wouldn't necessarily sit down and say it's a non-negotiable, but it has to certainly be the goal. I think even a month ago I said it should be the goal from here, and you know, even top 2, we sit first, so we don't want to be going backwards from here. We want to continue going forwards and winning games. So you know, we'd like to be able to finish top 2, and we currently sit first, so let's stay in first.
You've
bounced back to some of your best form recently.
Yep.
Have you been doing anything differently in preparation, or is it a change of mindset to be more involved?
No, it's just probably been the continuity. I felt like I was in really good form in the pre-season. Played 2 strong pre-season games. Played well in round 1 in a great team win against the Giants, and then was injured from there, and probably underestimated the injury a fair bit. Thought I could just come back and underestimated how tough AFL footy is. I thought I could just come back in and contribute like I was at the start of the year and last year, and that wasn't the case. I struggled to get involved, struggled to play my usual game. So the past 4 to 6 weeks has been really pleasing, and you know, fortunately this year I feel like I'm heading upwards instead of last year when I was starting to feel the effects of a foot injury. I was, you know, trending downwards. So I'm looking forward to what lies ahead for the rest of the season.
Did you come back too early? In hindsight?
No, I don't think so. I probably just underestimated the impact and the effects of the injury and how long it was going to linger. So perhaps I felt physically able to play, but probably just not at my absolute best. So, you know, whether I should have had a week or 2 in the SANFL at the start, hindsight's, you know, 2020, so maybe I should have, but you know, all's well that ends well, and I feel like I'm in a good space now.
Who are Melbourne's biggest threats?
Well, they've got a few. I certainly like the way Michael Hibbert's gone down back. Spent time with him at the Bombers, so you have to talk him up. We'll have to tag him this week. Yeah, but obviously, yeah, they've got a really strong midfield. I know they're missing their 2 co-captains. I presume both are missing this week, but they've got a strong group of midfielders. You know, Vince is a physical guy inside. Dom Tyson's a player I really like, and they've got some dashes, particularly Jaden Hunt off half back, and sometimes swings forward as well. So, as I said, they're building a really good side. They've got some depth there as well, so it should be a really good game.
Bernie said last night he wasn't even sure if he was going to get the job on Rory again. Bit of ducks and drakes there.
Yeah, I would suggest he's foxing. He's known to be a bit of a fox, isn't he, that Bernie? So, yeah, I would think, as I said, it worked last time, so he'd be foolish to go away from it, and I'm sure Rory can expect some close checking from Bernie.